Hello my friends, and today has been a day. This is Monday, but y'all, I am so happy. I am overwhelmed with joy and so much peace. I've been singing and spring cleaning today. It's been absolutely amazing. I got sunshine coming through my windows as I replaced all dark curtains into something nice and light inside of our homestead. I'm so done with the doom and gloom, and so I needed a change. This homestead has been pretty much dark for 5 years, and I don't know, things are changing with me. So let's get on with the happy day. So first of all, definitely a coffee time with you all. I have a few who are wanting to know how to start their gardens. Many are new homesteaders. Some are new growers, and they're asking me questions. What do I do? I thought I would take some time with you today, seeing how we have the most amazing thing for me. I call this big old pillow package filled, y'all, my happy mail, because this is our 2024 seed haul. One out of two, actually. The other one isn't so big. That's the remnants of the ones that were out of stock, and I'm still waiting for others to come into stock. But in the meantime, we can get a great start. Let me get us all set up. I'm going to show you everything from the soil. I'm going to let you know what we've got for us this year in so much detail. I look forward to spending this time with y'all, and I hope you're ready. So let's begin. Okay, my family, so I had to pull out all of our seeds. Now, to let you know what we have, I told you that I was going to try my Jamaican sorrels again. Now, I did get the dry. They are so good. It tastes somewhat like a cranberry and flour. It's a unique flavor, but this time I went with the heirloom side. So I've got some Roselli hibiscus plants here. We have our purple champagne yellow cherry tomatoes. Now, you know, in the Mediterranean, I go through the cherry tomatoes. I don't want to keep buying them, so we are going to do a good stock of cherry tomatoes this year, and a different variety for different colors. Got to have my thyme for my herbs. We've got a good herb selection here. We have our cilantro. We have our parsley, which we go through the parsley, you know that. We have our dill. Yep, there's some more cilantro. We have our large red cherry tomatoes. We have some more dill here. I am going to try this again since we have our raised beds, and that would be fresh fennel. Fennel is an amazing plant that you can add. It's got somewhat of a licorice flavor. You can add this to a salad, saute it with meat. This is really good, and I want to succeed on these. I'm trying to categorize this, y'all. We have two different type of eggplants. We have our Black Beauty large eggplants, to where we made our eggplant parmigiana, or we can do the diamond small eggplants, where we can either stuff these, or we can still use these for sauteing, or even parmigiana if we wanted to. I definitely want to try those this year. Get all our tomatoes set up here. I did get some Romas, although I did find, finally, I do not know how they're going to work. They are a different brand, but there are two brands, Back to Roots and Liberty. I did find some San Marzanos, so I will add that with these Romas. Romas are a good paste tomato as well, but they just have a little bit more seeds and a little bit more water to them. We have our beef steaks that hubby wanted. We have our Black Beauty zucchini. What is a Mediterranean dish without our zucchinis? We have our squash, our yellow squash straight necks. These also are, squashes are really good in Mediterranean food, y'all. We have our Provider bush beans, and we have our Blue Lake pole beans. We have 2 different varieties of green beans this year. We will definitely be using these for canning again. We love the flavor. They were not mushy. They were fantastic. So this was a no-brainer. We're going back to doing this. We have our Table King bush acorn squash, and then we have spaghetti squash. These are both very good vegetables that we use in our Mediterranean, and basically low carb as well. Naturally, we had to go get those purple turnips because my husband loves his turnips. We're going to try them in the raised beds this year. We have orangello watermelon that we're going to try. And we also have these Sugar Baby small watermelons this year. You know, you all know how much I go through my basil. That is about as much as I go through my parsley. So we have 2 different kinds. We have Genovese basil, and then we have the large Italian leaf basils. Our lettuce selection. Now, you know, we go through our salads, and we have 20-foot space to work with our salads. So here's what we have. We have black-seeded Simpsons. We have slow bolt leaf, loose leaf lettuce. This is a beautiful mix, but we have the mixed salad bowl, a couple of these. So we've got that going on for us. And then we have our slow bolt arugula. You can't have a good Mediterranean salad without your arugula. So we have our salads as well. Now, I think by the looks of this, I believe we will see how this grows. This is what we buy at the grocery store, the mixed salad bowl. If this works, I am actually going to go back and get quite a few more of seed packs of these, because this is actually our favorite when it comes time to a salad. And then we have our kale, our blue curled kale. Kale is another great dish on the side for anybody who is low carb or even Mediterranean. And then we have our little gem butterhead salad mixes or lettuce. So that's it for this haul, y'all. We have another batch coming in, and I am super excited, super stoked. I got a couple more containers to show you that we already had in tomatoes, and I'm going to bring them in here with us too. Okay, I've had many of you ask me, well, how do you store all your seeds? I literally, over the years, have collected seeds, and I keep them on hand. I have boxes for flowers in their category. I have boxes for herbs, and then I have a box for vegetables. And all I use, you can find these on Amazon. They are relatively inexpensive, and they are nothing but, honestly, a photo box. They just open up here, and I can keep them organized with 18 individuals, and they come with the labels. So I just keep these organized in each individual boxes, write down what they are, whatever, even if they're just tomatoes or onions. Like this one is a variety of onions. Pop the photo lid, and then I've got my seeds on the inside. So that's all that I do with mine. And I keep this. This works really good for me. They're dark, so I can keep them in that dark place. I'll keep them in my pantry where they'll stay cool. And I keep my seeds for a couple years, honestly, in these boxes. Now, I've had this system for about 3 years, and every year my seeds, some of them are about 2, some of them were even 3 years old, and they actually grew. So I like this. It works for me. So that's what I do. When you ask... Smokey. She likes going in my pantry behind me, y'all. So sorry about that. If you see that, it's not some kind of phenomenal thing. That is actually the cat who knows how to open doors and go in and out of the pantry, because basically she knows where her food is, although she's not allowed to get it. So, back to what we were doing. So that is one way. Like I said, they're relatively inexpensive, nothing but photo boxes. They hold a pack of seeds really, really well. Now, Migardener seeds are actually small packs, and Baker's Creeks are much larger packages, and they will hold very nicely in these boxes. So I'm hoping that helps you. Again, I found them on Amazon. Now, many have asked me, what do I use when I start my seedlings? Now, I will tell you that some of these seedlings, they require warmth. So over time, I have invested in I don't really spend a whole lot of money on it, y'all. It was inexpensively, but I invested in some heat mats. And I will put cardboard underneath my heat mats to keep them from changing temperatures. That was the one thing that was highly suggested. So that's what I use. And I do not use any fancy light. Now, I do have one grow light, but I was blessed in a group and I actually won that one. All my other grow lights, honestly, are LED shop lights. Those have worked so amazingly well, and they come with the chains for hanging. So I'm able to use my rack, and when I go to do that this year, I'll show you my system, but I will hang them and I will adjust it to the length or height of my plants. The other thing I do is in my soil, I don't use regular dirt. Now, I have used sparg and peat moss and all that, but the one thing that I've found that works exceptionally well, it is super clean. There is you want a base where there is no fertilizer, nothing. You want nothing but a very, very neutral, plain starter for your seeds. And even though it's about $5 to $6 for this big old bag, I actually get this at Walmart. It's a seed starting mix. So it works. Some people have said that they have gnats in their mixes and all of this. Now, so far, thank you, Lord, I've not experienced that. But I also use a tabletop fan where I will circulate the air on my plants and keep that from, and I keep my soil from molding as well. I water from the bottom to keep them from being molded on the top. So I take extra caution when it comes to my seedlings, but I do use an inexpensive mix, and this is found everywhere at Walmart. So don't look for something fancy, y'all. Now I've seen many have used Coco Core. I have never used Coco Core. One, I have not found it, and two, I really don't know much about it. So, I mean, given the opportunity, I'd say I would probably do it. So, but in the meantime, this is what I have. The other thing that I will use, and they are relatively inexpensive as well. This is just an example. It's not the same kit. These that Walmart has also are a lot bigger, and I have those. I recycle them and wash them. So these are just a small example, but I will use, I don't know if you can see this, but these little squares, this is what we use. Some people will use egg cartons, others will use whatever pots. Now I will tell you the solo cups, I will use those for my tomatoes, because the less I have to transplant them, the better off I am. So solo cups is what I will use for tomatoes, and I need to get me a new stock of that. But for everything else, I will use these little cells with the holes at the bottom of them. And I have my liner trays that come with them, and then my lids. that go on the top. So these are what I start my seeds in. I will line them up on my tray and put my heat mat underneath them. I have everything on a timer and the lights. Now, everybody asks, do you need lights for things to grow? 95% of the time, absolutely not. You do not need your lights to be on 24/7 as well. A good 14, 16, some will say 18 hours is good enough. They don't need to stay on constantly, y'all. It's not going to make a difference. The one thing that will make an absolute difference is the height of your lights. When you first start, you want that tray or those lights just as close to that tray as you possibly can. And then you want to rise up. You want at least 1 or 2 inches above your seedlings. It will keep them from getting leggy. And what I mean by leggy, I know several have seen these examples or these ideas, but you will get this long-legged stem. Let's go like here, long-legged stem, and then 2 leaves or so at the top. That is a leggy plant. Now, my opinion on a leggy plant, what causes that is they're reaching for light. They don't have enough lighting. So make sure you keep your lighting as close as possible, but not on top of them. The other thing about leggy plants, many say that you can literally save them and just plant them deeper. Okay, folks, in my opinion, you're welcome to do what you want. If it were me, if my plants became that leggy, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pull them and probably have them for sprouts in my dinner. Because, frankly, you've, at this point, stunted your plant. They do not have the strength and the ability to be able to grow strong or grow prolific. So, in my opinion, they're nothing but greens at this point. Like I said, if you want to try to save them, go right ahead. But that's just what I would do. I would actually just pull them and eat them. So, a few other things to bring up. Let's see if I can remember some of the questions. When to plant our seeds. Now, this is the time of year I have fell into it, y'all. I really have fallen into this because anxiety, anxiousness, sun, just like right now. Okay, this is a trick me situation. It's beautiful sunny outside. We are nearly 60 degrees in February. Now, mind you, we know we have an early spring, but do we know exactly when that early spring is? And my guess on this one and my answer would be, nope, I sure don't. Based by my experience of living here in the northern end of Mississippi, I am in zone 8A. And when I look, now mind you, zones. Zones don't make a difference, y'all, when it comes to growing vegetables. But it does make a difference when it comes to your climate area. So if you're going to look at when your last frost is, go to Google and ask last frost in whatever town you're in, zone. If you don't know your zone, just turn around and put last frost in your town and everything will come up to you. It will give you your zone. It will give you the estimated last frost. Now for me, that would be April the 1st. And what we have learned, what I have learned, I have not, I used to be so anxious at getting started, and I will tell you my examples of what happened by doing so. But for us, the general rule for us is 1 week before Easter, 1 week after Easter. But Easter is my target. And so we look at, I will therefore take WeatherBug when I get to that point and really close, and I will start looking at the weekly progress of what it's going to look like. But when I go to start my seedlings, I am going to use my April 1st date. I am going to backtrack 6 to 8 weeks from there. I'm going to give you a prime example. Let me grab my calendar. Okay, so here it's going to show April the 1st is my last frost in my area. So I'm going to backtrack I'm going to backtrack actually 8 weeks. So we're going to go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Interesting. Okay, let me try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Okay, so for me, a lot of plants, especially, you will look at your seeds. Honestly, let's see here. Here's some examples here. Okay, so Migardener's peck of seeds. We'll go this route. Genovese basil, for instance. It is suggested to plant indoors 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost. So I'll go to my last frost date, which is April the 1st. Okay, and so that falls on this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It would mean that between February 18th to the 24th, which is in about 3 weeks for me, I can start planting my herb seeds. Now, for my tomatoes say 6 to 8 weeks before my last frost. With that in mind, I can start planting my tomatoes as early as next week. However, for me, I'm going to take the latter time, basically, which would be the 18th to the 24th. That would be my 6 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yes, I'm going to take basically all of my seeds and start planting my seeds about the week of the 18th to the 24th. And here is my reasons why. I have found, let me sit down, y'all, and talk with you because this is really important. Okay, my friends. So this is really highly important. The reason for it is I have planted 4 to 6 weeks before. And I had actually planted way ahead when I heard everybody says, oh, it's starting to plant season now. And this was before I started looking at the Farmer's Almanac. This was before I started finding out technically when is my last frost for my zone and taking the advice of the MSU Extension Office. I started doing a lot of things now. The one thing I don't do is the new moon times. That's just too much for me. Give me something simple. All right, my simple is my last frost, April the 1st. That's great. I can go from there. Now, I have planted some of my plants, tomatoes. I followed many people when I first started homesteading, and they said, hey, I planted my seeds now. It's in the end of January. Get those in there. Or right now, as a matter of fact, at the first week of February, everybody says, grab those, get them in there. Or it was mostly in January. So I did. When it came time to planting, I did the most terrible mistake I could actually do. I had such overgrown seedlings that I had no room to put them all. I had to keep transplanting, and I ended up, some of them, transplanting 3 to 4 times. The second thing that ended up happening for my tomatoes, for instance, they started flowering. Y'all, when they flower at that point and you've got them in a little bitty pot waiting to go into the garden because, well, you didn't wait for your last frost at least 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost, and now you had a deep freeze and you can't put nothing in the ground now. You got to keep them indoors. So what ended up happening is I didn't have proper lighting because, well, this house light will only go so far. The second thing that I had was when they started flowering at that point, I stunted the growth of those tomatoes. When I did so, I did not get the prolific tomato crop that I would have loved. I'd done this twice, 2 years in a row, and before I found out what was going on. And no matter how many flowers I picked, it did not make a difference. I did not get a bumper crop. I hurt myself by starting too soon, and I wasted a lot of plants. And then by the time it came to actual planting into the ground, I had lost not just a beautiful crop, but all my seeds. And at this point, it was too late to start over. Now, I do get about 214 days of growing, and I could intercession and all of this, but I was so disappointed in myself at that time. So I started researching. I started finding out more information about my area and what was the best place. Now, for me, again, I can actually start in as little as 2 weeks. Technically, on some of these right now, when they say 6 to 8 weeks, the 8-week period is right now, this week for me. But I'm going to go a little bit more, and I'm going to go at the 6-week mark because I want to be able to have beautiful plants without stunting their growth. They grow quickly, and the less I have to transplant, the better off I am, and the better off that I'm not stressing my plants. I want to be able to do this one time, if at all, and then be able to just put them out in my garden and be done with it. Now, they're going to have to go through a period also of hardening off. You can't just take your seedlings from indoors and put them straight outside, because now they've got to get acclimated to the sun. They have to get acclimated to the temperature change, daylight. Daylight doesn't really matter because you get the lights off, but it's just temperature change, that sun. That sun can be very brutal and harsh. I usually start mine in shaded areas because it's still a lumen of a sun that they don't get in here off my lights. The other thing that I had to do is get them acclimated to wind. So that's the reason why I will put a fan with them. It doesn't just work for the soil to dry it, but it also works for making them strong. So they got elements out here that we don't have indoors, and they're going to have at least a good week or two of getting acclimated before you can even put them in the ground. There's a lot of tending to do on a seedling and a baby, but if you do these steps, I will tell you, you will have the most amazing garden you will ever do. If you, the other part of it is adding fertilizer. I will be asked, when do I add fertilizer? Fertilizer comes in when your seedlings are on their second set of leaves. Now, what I mean by that is every seedling will start with the first 2 leaves, but then you will end up with another set of leaves. That is your second set. That's when you start very mild. You do not use a whole lot. Half of what you would for a normal adult plant. You only put a tiny amount of fertilizer, or at least a half dose of your fertilizer, whatever you prefer. Me, I would prefer something more neutral like fish emulsion or something like that. I do not use harsh chemicals on my seedlings or any of my plants, basically. I try to use as much natural as I can. So I'm hoping this will help you. I had done a video like this over a year ago, but this is the more updated. These are the more advanced growing suggestions that I have learned over the years from when I started a year ago into this as well. Now, the raised beds. Those raised beds are not just for show, you all. They're not just for, look at what I have. Those raised beds were very critical for me in this homestead. And so now that I can get more into depth is why we have 2-foot raised beds at 8 foot long and 4 foot wide. The reality for me was my raised beds that were built in the 10-foot and 20-foot gardens that I'd showed you, they were amazing. I still am going to be using those, and a whole lot of it. But one of the things that was a mistake, but yet still not bad, was those boards were 8-inch boards. They were 8 or 10 by 8s. Now, 8 inches wasn't quite enough root system for eggplant, tomatoes, peppers. They needed a lot more depth in space, or for roots to grow. And in those beds, I did get tomatoes. We did get a small amount of tomatillos. We did get peppers, but we didn't get what we probably could have out of them. This was done 2 to 3 years until I finally said, I pulled those plants last year and I looked at the root system. That root system is what I paid attention to, and it spoke to me. The roots went flat and out. They didn't go down. The plants did not basically stand up strong. They eventually leaned over. So, and I also noticed that those roots didn't go down to the surface of the soil from our own land. They couldn't get through. All that hard clay. Now, it doesn't matter whether I have a raised bed on top of it or not. It still wasn't enough for that sand and red clay for those roots to get down into my normal ground. So, I made the executive decision to go with 2-foot beds. Now, this will give me much, much greater. We have 7 total. So, it's going to expand this homestead in a fantastic way, where I will be able to grow just about everything I want to on this homestead and not have to purchase it. I am a bit late on starting broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and all of that. I could go ahead and get the established plants already done, but frankly, I think paying $5 per plant is a bit stupid. I will not do it. I just can't do it. So it just doesn't make any sense when I spent $2 for a pack of seeds, and I get, how many seeds are in here? 500 seeds. Now, if I were to take this plant and charge $5 per plant, I'd be awful rich, y'all. I just can't. So I'm just going to go ahead and wait till fall, and I'm going to go ahead and grow those. I am learning when to start my fall crops, which would be at the middle to end of August instead of waiting until October to do so, or September. I have made many, many mistakes to be able to sit here and tell you what I'm learning right now and what I've learned, and I can share with you. Now, mind you, these are only my opinions. So, honestly, you can take and do what you all want. I'm not going to actually tell you how to do it. I'm just going to tell you what happened when I didn't. And so, again, those raised beds, y'all, were not to boast and brag. Look what I got. It's so fancy. It is not. It really absolutely serves a great purpose on this homestead, because without this, I am continuing to buy. I don't want to keep buying from the grocery store. I don't like bland flavored vegetables. I want flavor. If I've got a beautiful quality meal, if I have the presentation of all the colors, I want the flavor to go with it. And the grocery store does not give me that. I want to be able to do this on my own. I want to be able to save my seeds, y'all, and be able to not keep buying seeds all the time. I buy heirlooms so that I can do that, but I can't if I don't have enough crops. I want to be able to can and be able to eat fresh at the same time. I want to be able to freeze and eat fresh whenever I want to. And so I made the executive decision to expand, to grow better, deeper, and give me more room. Now, what am I going to do with those 8-inch beds that are 10 to 20 foot long? That is where I'm going to take my lower, less intense roots, for salad, chives, some of my cilantro, parsley. These items will grow fantastic in those beds. And I can grow that much more since I pulled the bigger plants out of those sections. This will give me an entire 20-foot run of a salad that I can go out in my garden and have fresh salad every day if I wanted to, because I can take this 20 foot on each side and have two sides of salad bed. I'm going to be able to, now one of those beds is going to be strictly all herbs as well, but that's still going to say I've got to have other room. So I'm going to have radishes. I can do radishes in these. Now this here, these will be done in those raised beds, because what I've learned, not only did I not get a good root system on my tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, but on my root vegetables, my carrots, I could never get enough depth for them to grow. What ended up happening is I would have narrow roots and then they would just fall over. So I'm going bigger. I'm growing a lot deeper, and I'm going to enjoy the fact that this year is going to be a good year. 7 of these beds ought to be good enough. And we did find out with my little pickup, I have a little Ford Ranger pickup truck, the scoops of soil that they put into each, for each time I purchase it, it takes 1.5 scoops to fill those beds. So that's a good amount of soil. We are almost finished. I've got still 4 beds to do. Well, 3.5. 3.5 beds. And we have 1, 2, 3.5 finished. So we are working at it, y'all. We are working at it. I'm soon to start my seedlings, and when I do those seedlings, I will make another coffee time video with you, and I will show you exactly what I do to get you started. I will go ahead and also include about homesteading. Hang on a second, let me take that down and keep it quiet, because these are important. These are questions that you had all asked me, and I'm going to include that on this video as well. Okay, my family, homesteading. Quite a few asked me, well, how do I get started in homesteading? I'm going to tell you, based by my experience, go slow. I rushed into this, and we started with a lot of chickens, and we started with quails, and oh my gosh, at one time I got rid of all my quails because we ended up with about 60 quails. I had 35 to 40 chickens, and it got crazy. I started growing, and I did not take it slow. I jumped right in on everything. It became very, very expensive. I could not keep up. It became very overwhelming that I hated what I was doing instead of loving it. I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I started learning this and that, and everything became confusing. All the information that I needed. So I started over. I went to one section at a time, small. If you wanted to start a homestead, the best thing I would say is start with a planting area that you choose. Make it where you can adapt to it very easily. You can attend to it easily. Make it your size until you're able to realize what you can and cannot do, and what you can and cannot handle if you had to do this on your own. Start with a couple chickens and see how you go from there, or whatever other farm animal you might like. Just start small, y'all. Don't go big and crazy. Don't jump so far and it gets so big, and there's so many things that you didn't know that you will give up. I've seen many homesteads start and just stop, and they went back to their own life because it became too overwhelming for them. I have put a lot of information on this homestead, from chickens to gardening to all of that, even from the pantry. This is my year to start again. However, I'm still working off of my pantry, and I'm blessed to have that. So I'm going to continue to keep working off of that as much as I possibly can, because I'm getting ready to restock. My season for growing won't start till June. I will not be getting any produce. So I'm still going to use what I have stocked up, because that's going to give me plenty of time to refresh with something new. Another thing, please, y'all, this is vitally important when you're going to go growing and homesteading and preserving. Make it what your family likes. Please don't just grow anything just to grow it because you can. You absolutely could. But in my experience, I did the same thing. I went crazy. I got super excited, and that's another factor with homesteading. Go slow. Find out what your family likes first. Now, if I was going to sit here and say my mistakes that I did is I overgrown, oh my Lord. I did okra, and I did radishes, and I did lettuce and tomatoes and jellies. Oh my word. I did the jellies and pickles, and what happened is half of my stocks went to waste. We didn't like it. We didn't eat it. I canned too big on something new, and I lost a lot of product. I lost a lot of time, and I won't do that again. If you stay, okay, for instance, now I did start small with my Dijon mustard. Did I like my Dijon mustard? I would start with a small batch. I would take and try it from there. If I find that I go through that quite quickly, I know then that I need to double my batch, because this is a stock that's going to last. Well, it will last, for one, and that we absolutely love. The Oktoberfest mustard is really good, but I don't go through it as much as I do the Dijon. So small batch was perfect. I'm hoping I'm explaining these very carefully and thoroughly to help you understand what's important when it comes to your pantry. The other thing is my beans. I noticed some beans, my cannellini beans, I go through those. Those butter beans, I absolutely go through those. And chickpeas. I did not make enough chickpeas. So these are ones that I know to double my batch, because they won't last me all winter, or as far as I need them to last. Black beans, little red beans, I still have those. I did not go through them as often, so they serve a purpose as go small. Don't go large, because more than likely I'm going to lose my stock before I even actually eat those that often. Pick and choose what your family will go through. If you decide that you're going to go ahead and can carrots, know this. Do your family prefer raw over cooked? Because if they do not like cooked all that often, and if you are going to do occasional roast or occasionally serve them as a side dish, and your family's not really fond of them, well, you're going to have an overabundance of carrots on your shelf that'll probably go to waste. Where if they like them raw, they'll probably go through those a lot quicker. So I'm hoping I'm explaining this. Same thing with your green beans and that. Choose what your family loves, what you're going to go through. You want to make bigger batches, what you like, but know that you don't use often. Go small. That's not saying don't do these things, just don't do as much. Go based by the amount that your family will literally go through the most. And that was my way that I do my canning anymore. I will make sure that I don't waste. Now, I do know that we go through chicken and hamburger, so I absolutely have to keep big stocks of those on my shelf. We do go through the green beans. Matter of fact, almost all of my green beans are nearly finished, and all I have left basically are the cans from the store, so I definitely don't have to buy those. But we liked our store-bought better, or not our store-bought, our homegrown better than we liked the store-bought, so naturally we went through those first. Corn. Now, I had corn left over from last year. I had 3 jars. Now, I will tell you, I am absolutely going to restock on that. I'm not buying it from the store. I'm going to wait till it comes into season about August with my Amish lady. She has the most beautiful corn, and I can that up, and the flavor is amazing. We don't use a lot of it, so one 18 bag, or I think it was a 50-pound bag of 18 ears. I can't remember. It might be 18 ears. So that might be enough for me and my husband cut down, because I do cut them. And I'll scrape the kernels off and I'll can them that way. So if not, I'll get 2 bags. But that is definitely another one that's going on our shelf, because we choose the homegrown versus store-bought. It's a no-brainer. The flavor is just that much different. So that is another thing that falls in line with growing this year, that goes with homesteading and then into preserving and canning. All of this is a self-sustainable lifestyle, and this is what homesteading is all about. It's not about just being a farmer. It's sustaining your family to grow your own. It's less expensive. It's better healthy for you. Like I've also stated, that most of the stuff that you're getting from the grocery store is honestly, it's not ripened. And so you're going to bring it home and allow it to ripen. And I'm going to tell you, you've already lost your nutrients, because you're going to go from unripe to straight rot. You're not going to get that ripening stage like you can when you grow your own. You grow your own, you get the ripening stage, you've got beautiful minerals, vitamins, everything that your body needs, versus what you bought at the grocery store. And hence the reason that when you buy it within 3 days, it's no good and you're throwing it in the garbage. So I'm going to encourage you to grow, and I'm hoping these help. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. If you have any, please don't hesitate to ask me. If you have any questions or something that I missed in any of this, please put it down in the comments. Make sure, y'all, you like this video and share it if you can, or if you enjoy it, at least like it. And if you're new, subscribe, and I will say welcome to the family as our family grows. I think these videos help many people. I've seen the testimonies. They will tell you it is helping them, even from cooking in the kitchen, because what I grow, I also take to my kitchen, and I will feed me and my husband in a lot healthier way. So if there is something I missed, please put it in the comments. You know I always see it sooner or later, and you don't get lost, y'all. I do eventually get to it. So, and we are going to have a very busy year. Matter of fact, my last 2 beds came in. I need to build those, and then I'm waiting for one more day of dryness. Today, actually, tomorrow I'm going to get more loads of soil and start refilling these beds again. And it is all on me, so it's going to take me some time. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helps you. And again, if there's something I missed, please put it in the comments and I will get back to you and I will answer your question. I love you all dearly. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you be able to not stress in life, be able to have healthiness in your home and on your table. I am really excited of all the pictures y'all are showing me of your meals that you're trying, that you trusted me with. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. And trust me, I'm not going to bring nothing nasty to your table, y'all. It's going to be good or I ain't putting it up. I love you, and And until next time, it's time for me to go to work. Much love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.